Now, I know this video is going to be out of the blue kinda, and I know another new topic I potentially might add to the channel depending on how this video does. I know it may seem annoying, but that's why I wanted to make this first video specifically special. Talk about what not only makes The Flash Season 1 personally my favorite season, but why this is one of the best starters to a bigger franchise I've seen in a comic book adaptation. I know everyone likes to make fun of this show, but I'm serious, guys. I know everyone shits on it, and trust me, I'm well aware of the flaws in this show. But if you're going to scream at me for liking Flash, then go on, be a meathead. But while you do that, me and the goats, that being the viewers, are gonna explore as to why Season 1 of The Flash is so goddamn good. Now, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's dive into this intro and this Season 1 review type video. This is mainly me just speaking my mind on what I like about this show so much and why it works so well. Okay, so I guess the first thing I want to talk about is the overall story structure of Season 1. The structure seems very simple or basic, some would say, with the season being of how Barry slowly turns into a superhero while getting faster and fighting metahumans, and a villain is on the rise who is connected to him from the past and his present. This seems not out of the ordinary, which it really isn't structure-wise. I think the structure is good, but it's nothing to basically scream about. However, what I do like is how they elevate this structure with so much heart and passion put into the show. It's sort of similar to that of a Spider-Man 2 type thing, where Spider-Man 2's story or plot, quote-unquote, isn't really that interesting, which is just Spider-Man, losing his powers and then fighting Doc Ock to stop him from destroying the city from a sun. It sounds very basic, per se. However, I think what makes Spider-Man 2 one of the best superhero movies of all time isn't its story or its plot. It's the characters, the heart, the soul that's put into the film that elevates the movie so much into one of the best comic book movies of all time. The characters are all really great casting wise, and everyone playing their roles really feels like that's them in IRL. They care, they put effort, at least for the earlier seasons. I know that is kind of basic to talk about, but hang on, I'm just getting started talking about the series. Other things before I dive into the meat of the video that I want to kind of appreciate is definitely the music and the pacing of the story. The pacing in this show is perfect, or at least for Season 1 and what I'm reviewing, it's perfect. No complaints here. The score in this show is so goddamn good. We could literally be having Barry helping an old woman get home, bro, and if they play that like, bro, that scene is gonna be automatically 10 times more hype than it ever was or ever could be. Also, the slow versions of Barry themes or the different versions, like the sped up ones or the normal one or the slow ones that are used in scenes to basically get our viewers emotionally sucked in. So good, man. And the reverse Flash theme, don't even get me started. Hey, why do I hear boss music? Hey, hey, hey! Now we can move on to the second section, or the most important section, at least in my opinion, the protagonist, that being Barry Allen. I guess beforehand I can give a little quick background info for Barry Allen. Barry Allen essentially saw his mom get murdered by the Man in Yellow, aka the Reverse Flash, but no one believed him. As you know, Barry is a kid, and no metas were crawling around at this point, so people just thought he was kind of crazy, and his imagination was making him believe things. Joe West, the parent of Iris, who's best friends with Barry, takes him in, and Joe raises him. Barry goes on to then become a CSI years later, while also being shown to have feelings for Iris, but constantly holds them back and suppresses them. He then goes on to get struck by lightning, falls into a coma, and then gets super speed, and wakes up to find Cisco, Caitlin, and Harrison Wells who work at Star Labs, which is the reason why Barry is even alive. Barry gets his origin story, figures out that he can run fast. Barry, having these powers, realizes that he can actually try and help people, and this leads into, by the end of episode 1, him helping stop the guy who basically killed his dad's partner and was going to kill his dad, that being Clyde Martin. Now, what I do like about Barry Allen is the fact that immediately, right as he gets his powers, he decides to kind of take a step up in trying to help people. He realizes he can use these powers for the greater good, to help people, save lives, and so he tries to do that. However, while trying to do this, Joe, even Harrison in episode 1, and even Caitlin initially were against it. Like how I said, Harrison was against Barry going out in episode 1 to try and stop Clyde. However, initially he decides to just help him out and try and make him, get more speed. And Joe and Caitlin both were against it initially when Barry first goes on to try and help someone and save people. Now, Joe and Caitlin are against this, but Barry does provide some good points. One, Joe and the CCPD can't do anything against these metahumans. And Barry was the type anyway to try and help people, but now he can do it in a significant way, in the way where it actually matters. There are these new threats around the world, and Barry now needs to stop them. Now, for something so early on, this is probably one of Barry's best qualities in the show, never giving up and always trying to find a way to save people. He always tries to find another option. Barry is generally played out as a good person, just genuinely a good person. So it's nice to see his morality being tested, especially even after moments like this. We'll get into that later, but the point is, Barry never wants anyone to suffer the same fate or any harm. He already felt like the man in yellow was a speedster like him, which would even make him be more motivated to go out and be a hero to try and stop him, and he doesn't want people dying on him. Barry, in my opinion, has to be one of the most human protagonists, because even if he's a guy with a lot of demons inside of him, those demons, instead of breaking him, help him shape into the man he is today, and then becoming the Flash. Over the course of the season, we see him being in new situations as a new hero, so I think especially for a first season, or a starter season, the whole one villain per episode thing works really well. And this is a perfect way to kind of help shape Barry into a better hero, because we see him in constantly new situations as a beginning hero. Now, this isn't even finishing the full analysis on Barry, because in order to talk about Barry, we need to talk about Harrison Wells, which I'll get into about after this next section. That being the supporting cast. The Flash, in my opinion, has such a powerful ass supporting cast. Every character in this show isn't just standing in the back, or at least the important ones aren't, and we see everyone going through shit. Not gonna lie, for a CW drama, I'm actually very surprised how many likable characters there are in the supporting cast. Essentially, all of them are very likable. Caitlin, Harrison, Joe, Eddie, Iris, etc. Everyone is just goated in this show. Iris discovering the Flash in general made scenes with Barry filled with tension, as when the Flash goes up in popularity, Iris is interested even more, and Barry tries to stop this and it doesn't work, but then the Flash gets controlled, and now she hates the Flash. And I know you guys are like, oh, this is just drama, Tyler. Yeah, but the quote-unquote drama in this show is very engaging. And that is because the characters that are included in this drama. It just adds on how you feel bad for Barry, and Iris, from her perspective, isn't even in the wrong because Barry is being dishonest. Even Iris is making this show being goated, and Iris is the character that everybody hates for some reason. Well, that's in later seasons, we'll get there. Other characters like Cisco and Caitlin, who are Barry's homies, are also going through shit, and we get episodes where those characters are going through a lot of stuff along with Barry, and seeing these three just become friends, become this awesome trio, is also great to see unravel. Like, I genuinely really like that there are episodes dedicated to that of Cisco and Caitlin's friend slash husband, Caitlin's husband and Cisco's friend Ronnie, that whole Firestorm arc. I thought that was great because that gave them something to do. It was nice to see Caitlin being this cold-hearted person and slowly shifting back into a normal life, and that is just ripped away from her right again. And as for Cisco, Cisco doesn't necessarily have a quote-unquote arc. He's kind of the jokey guy, like the funny guy with all the movie references. However, I do think his connections with Harrison and overall the setup of him having powers was really well made. Eddie is someone I didn't even expect to be this good, since he's supposed to be the boyfriend rival for Iris to Barry, I guess. But Eddie was great in the end, and especially has sacrificed him being able to control his own future. And him going from feeling like the most useless in the cast to actually having the most impact in the entire season was really good. And now we get to finally talk about the best supporting character in the entire show, for sure, Joe West. Joe West, although not even being Barry's biological dad, is the best parent he could ever be to him and Iris, and we see how much he truly cares about his children. Joe West, in all honesty, is like the Piccolo of the show. Everyone likes him. Who dislikes Piccolo genuinely? Now, I think this scene specifically is where we see how much Joe truly gives a crap about Barry and how much he really cares about him, telling Barry that he should go back in time and telling him that he deserves to have the life, living with a mother and a father. But Barry does say how he did grow up with a father, the best he ever could have, and this was such a powerful moment! Joe West is also a character who, when realizing he messes up, will admit that he messes up and will try and move forward and learn from his mistakes. He's done this with Barry, being against him being the Flash, and also was against telling Iris about how Barry was the Flash in order to keep her safe. But he does realize that Iris isn't a little girl anymore and does apologize and realizes he's messed up. He's just a guy who's willing to redeem himself, who trusts his gut. Also, Joe West, in my opinion, is definitely the most human and most grounded character in the show. Even with Cisco and Caitlin being, human and stuff, they're scientists, they're super smart, and Joe West is basically kind of like the viewer, seeing things more so in black and white, right or wrong, and, trusting his gut, which I definitely think is the most grounded thing or the most relatable thing that the viewers can resonate with in comparison to, being a human and, having all this science knowledge and helping the Flash stop crime. Now it's time to talk about the villain, Eobard Thawne, and the conflict between him and Barry. Yeah, surprise, surprise, Harrison Wells is Eobard Thawne, who's from the future and is obsessed with defeating the Flash. Before being revealed, however, the viewers saw him slowly rising as Barry was getting faster, and this just all tied back with Wells most of the time. Even when they figured it out, he was always one step ahead, and it felt just frustrating because Thawne played them like chess pieces and trapped them rather than the other way around. Thawne will do whatever it takes to defeat the Flash, since the Flash was something that ruined Thawne, at least from his perspective. Thawne was someone Barry looked up to in this timeline and just made Barry look like an idiot. He even killed Cisco in the timeline Barry changed, doing an accidental run through time, and Thawne is a manipulating rat, no better than Terry Silver. However, just like Terry Silver though, he's very entertaining. So even when you hate him, you kind of love him at the same time. Pause. We see such an odd perspective of Wells, going from the nice mentor who's training Barry to showing his true self and doing whatever it takes to win. And it's kind of crazy because Thawne unironically almost wins by manipulating Barry and making him go back in time to try and save his mom. However, Barry would actually stop himself, future Barry that is, future Barry stops present Barry, and Barry just got a last combo with his mom in before dying, yet again. Barry returns back realizing everything that he's got right now he has, and he's not going to give it up for the world. This perfectly represents Barry as a hero. Yeah, he could have had the perfect life he wanted, but he would have never have the good things he got because of this current life he has right now. Reverse Flash and him fight briefly before Eddie kills himself and erases Reverse Flash from existence. However, due to Barry traveling back in time, a singularity pulls up and Barry goes up to try and save the day, and that is how Season 1 of The Flash wraps up. On a cliffhanger, and honestly, this show is just so goated, man. Overall, I'd give this season a damn near 10 out of 10, with my only complaint being probably cutting down some of the villains they fight. It don't gotta be 23 episodes. But genuinely, other than that small nitpick, I can't complain about The Flash, and if you want me to review Season 2, let me know down in the comments. This show is just so goddamn good, and I love it. No matter how many flaws it has, no matter how bad it gets, I think Flash is still watchable, and I think everyone can enjoy it. Now, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, if you did enjoy this video, be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you are new to the channel, as that is greatly appreciated, and hit the notification bell, that way you are notified and updated when I upload. With that being said, be sure to follow me on Twitter. That will be linked in the description. If you want me to do any future Flash content, let me know down below in the comment section. See you guys in the next one. Peace out. Bye.